earlier we talked a little bit about having a business in Fairbanks. One thing that I've thought about is there's always people who will be in your corner and support you, and there are also things that somebody might say that is like a challenge, but when it's received, if you're really believing in what you're doing, you're like, part of it feels like doubt and part of it feels like, screw that, I'm going to prove somebody wrong or I'm going to like keep pushing. What's some input that you've received that has been helpful, meaningful, challenging, anything like that?
It would be hard to know where to begin though, because I think I'd have to go back to the beginning because I can answer that with that story really well.
Cool.
I mentioned Chena Hot Springs a couple times. I was working at the front desk. We don't have to talk about it right now, but it's a big part of the story. At that time, I had actually transitioned to female to live as a woman.
Okay.
And I did that for 5 years. But everybody, not everybody, but some people in the beginning have kind of like an awkward first phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a very strange looking person at that time and wore a very strange combination of jewelry, and like my appearance was very different.
Uh-huh.
But some people supported me. Shout out to Gina Gavora, who kind of enabled me to use some pieces of the property to go do my work.
Mm-hmm.
And not like really covered for me, but she could have blasted me and like told Bernie and because as many people who know him know, he doesn't really like seeing his employees happy. It seems. I have to say it seems. I can't say I know that for sure, but one day he saw me coming out of the employee kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of our only places to go.
Mm.
And he saw me walking out with my firesiders.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I reflect, he might have thought I was like stealing all the soup or something. I don't know. But the next day, it was locked and I couldn't go back in.
Mm.
So one way or another, he would try to stop me and would have continued also. And so that part sucked. And I got fake fired from there, which it's a whole big thing for something I had nothing to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want me behind the desk anymore, which honestly I can kind of see their perspective at that point. So less than $100 to my name, debt on credit cards that I bought my van with, used van, and 2 buckets of fire cider, and I was going to go to the market 2 days a week and then keep working. But now I had nowhere to live and nothing. So I called my friend Karen at the time, who we weren't even like BFFs or anything, and I was like, can I crash with you for just a little bit?
Okay.
And they took me into their dry cabin. We had no doors on our rooms. I couldn't stand up in mine. And I put a lot of my stuff in storage, and I went to the market. I'd never been to town really. No one knew me. And I had 2 products. I guess I should have grabbed one so I could put it on the table. But it's our fire cider called Tundra Tonic, and
Okay.
Our other one called Dragon's Blood. And they had different names. They had different bottles. The banner was different, and I had one table, which I like basically had to spend all my money just to buy this plastic table. And first day there, people showed up and supported me and talked with me and listened to me and like did videos and photos and,
Wow.
and bought all the fire cider
Whoa.
and even people were like, oh, it's the best one I've ever had. And so that's the support part, like a place to live, friends taking a risk on you, strangers taking a risk on you,
Right.
not necessarily having a plan. And even before that, this friend of mine, Maggie, I can't remember her last name. Everyone knows Maggie. Boot of the Bison Ranch reputation is friends with Maggie, and she showed up to Chena Hot Springs one day, and we hung out like 3 times. And I told her what I was gonna do, and she said, "Hey, you should go to this place and ask this lady if you can rent her kitchen." And I was like, "I guess, whatever. That can't hurt." And I showed up, and the lady was like, "Sure, you can use our kitchen."
Wow.
And usually you have to pay quite a bit for that. And the deal she offered me was, for every hour you work, you give me one 16-ounce bottle of your fire cider so I can sell it here, which works because it was made in that kitchen. And it works for her and it worked for me. It was just like, you couldn't even try to make it any better. Anyways, to keep answering your question, there's 2 people, I'm not going to name them, who threatened me with legal action over something extremely silly that was totally fake. And the other one was only in the person's head. It wasn't even a thing that was happening. But it prompted me to have to learn all these things. And let me tell you, researching legal things is not fun.
Sure.
And so there's been direct adversaries, like, and they're Alaskan people, and they talk all day about like support each other in Alaska, but really, I think a lot of people feel like competition is life or death, and there's not enough to go around up here, and but it's kind of both. It's always both. It's always a lot of love and a lot of defensiveness and too cool standoffishness, but typically for people who persevere and choose to focus on certain things, you may find, maybe not, you may find that you find more love and support along the way. And I just met this woman at the farmer's market yesterday, in fact. Her name is Caitlin. She's from California. And we got to talking about some of these same things, as often happens at the table. And she said, I was talking about some of these things, and she said, well, get this. I'm a dancer, a ballet dancer, an instructor, and this other woman that was a family friend of her family. This is like a 30-year saga. Ended up buying the business and running it, and kind of made a lot of people mad and treated people like they weren't human and didn't give them what they were worth and wanted things done her way. And Caitlin finally was like, man, she tried for years to like wait for it to get better, but she finally split and did her own thing. And now the people that know her and her family and her values have all gone to her, and she has a small studio with like 200 students or something crazy like that, and the other person has like multiple studios and rooms that are like not even half filled, because people can tell, like people are not anymore, maybe like back in the day, willing to put up with someone who you can tell doesn't respect you, isn't telling the truth, just is cutting corners, or just wants profits. People don't like that anymore. People want things to be good, and that is possible in business, even though people think it's not. So hearing her story and other people's just helps me to keep going and like remember that that's true and will continue to be true.
That speaks really well. It's good to know that the forecast for businesses is filled with genuine value, and I think on like the real estate or like sales ends of things, the mindset is shifting from like in the way that people are encouraged to talk to clients, also as far as like and the emphasis is now on providing value up front and being like genuinely invested in serving them, whether it's now or in the future. And there might be some kind of connection there where it's like, you're right, it's not just about people being out to just for the money, because I think the way that we communicate nowadays is not just limited to what you see just when that person's there. It's so easy to see what people are like in the rest of their lives. There's a lot more that's exposed.
Yeah, and that last thing you said, actually, I had a thought just now. Everything is kind of being dragged out into the light. No one really knows this or talks about this, but we're kind of going through a literal revolution in information and perception, because, let's go even as far back as pre-internet. You don't know what's happening in the town over there.
Right.
You don't know what the other burger pizza businesses are doing. Unless you go there, you would never know. You don't know what this other person is doing either. But now, you wouldn't even know how businesses worked, or your rights in regards to like law enforcement or your boss. Like, it was all a secret, and your truth was limited by who was around you and what they told you.
Yeah.
And but now we're kind of figuring it all out. We're like, oh, that's how like a scam hotel works, or oh, that's the lies they're saying, and that's why they say it, and that's how it works. You just can't trick people with that kind of stuff anymore. And that deceit is breaking down, and there's still plenty more out there, of course, but everyone knows now. Good luck hiding it. We've fallen prey to the cheesy salesperson veneer for long enough, and good luck doing it now, but so yeah, I agree. I think there's a huge shift to that, because on top of that, we recognize that like whoever they may be, let's say, I'm not picking these people on purpose, so forgive me everybody, but like Leonardo DiCaprio or really big people, many, if not most of them, are just as depressed as everybody else
Mm-hmm.
because all these things kind of suck. They're not super cool. It's not taking us anywhere in a way that makes us go to bed feeling good, even for them, or going to the end of our lives.
Mm.
Everybody's craving a new culture and a new reason to achieve, and the profits and the mansions and the pools. Only a small minority of people really thrive on that, and everybody else wants something more and more, and now they're articulating it too.